In this lesson, we're going to look at combining the two previous lessons together. In the last two, we looked at translations, and then we looked at reflections. So in this one, we're going to put the two of them together. We're going to focus on identifying a reflection and drawing the image of a shape that is reflected, and drawing shapes that are reflected and then translated, and creating and analyzing designs made with reflections. The outcomes we're going to cover, there's quite a few that we list here, but we do get through them all. First, we're going to create, analyze, and describe designs using translations, rotations, and reflections in all four quadrants of a coordinate grid. We're going to identify and describe the applications of transformations in construction, industrial, commercial, domestic, and artistic contexts. Solve a contextual problem that involves transformations. Draw the image of a two-dimensional shape that results from a given single transformation. Identify a single transformation that was performed given the original two-dimensional shape or three-dimensional object and its image. Draw the image of a two-dimensional shape that results from a given combination of successive transformations. And explain the relationship between reflections and lines or planes of symmetry. So it's possible to combine reflections and translations to create new images. We can say that this object here is a combination of reflections and translations. For instance, to get from object, I'll call it object X right here, up to object Y, which I'll call this one right here, we can translate in this direction. And that'll give us the new image from X to Y. Right? If I want to show a reflection, I have a line of reflection approximately right here on my object. I can reflect object X right here upwards and then translate very slightly to the right, and that'll give me, I'm going to call this one object Z. So I'm getting reflection upwards. So all of my points are going to be equidistant but on opposite sides of my line of reflection. And then I'm going to have to translate slightly to the right to get my new object. Now to get from object Z to, for instance, I'm going to call this one W, I'm going to translate downwards and to the right. And so now I have enough to be able to draw the entire shape. X can translate up to here, and it can also translate straight across to here. Z can translate straight across, and this can translate down. This can translate across, and if you want, you can say this translates up. The translations doesn't matter which you're translating from one to the other, but we have to see a reflection at least once from X to Z, for instance, to be able to draw the entire shape. Okay, so we're going to look at another example here now. Janine designs stationery. She draws a border that is an image of footprints left by someone walking in the sand. She wants the footprints to be exactly the same size and shape, so she creates a stencil of one footprint. What transformations can she use to make sure the trail of footprints is evenly spaced? Draw the transformations to show Janine how to create the design. Okay, so we have one image or one footprint, an original footprint. So we're going to draw that foot on grid paper, and then we're going to reflect it over the y-axis. So here is my original foot right here, and I'm reflecting over the y-axis. So this is my line of reflection right here. And you'll see that my big toe is right up to the x-axis right here, and it's right up to the x-axis right here. And they're equidistant. It's practically touching the line of reflection right here, and my image is practically touching my line of reflection right here. So I've managed to reflect my foot I've made what looks like a left footprint turn into a right footprint as well. The next thing I'm going to want to do is translate the reflected image 6 units up. Okay, so remember I started at the x-axis right here, and to get my right foot up I went 1 unit, 2 units, 3 units, 4 units, 5 units, 6 units up. So I've translated my entire reflected image 6 units upwards from where I started, which was at the x-axis. The next thing I'm going to need to do is translate the original and the reflected image another 12 units up each. So we can see that here's my starting point from my original object. I'm going to translate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 units up to get here. And I'm going to do the same with my reflected image. I started here, then I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 units up. So I end up right here. So we translated both our original image and our reflected image 12 units up to create the repeating pattern that we see. So we can repeat this pattern over and over again. We can make this pattern go on forever to show multiple footprints. We see 4 here, but we can see 20 or 60 or 2,000 just by constantly translating each of our footprints 12 units up. Okay, another example. Charles is making a design using handprints. Describe the reflections and translations Charles used to create this pattern. Okay, the first thing you may notice is that he seems to have a line of reflection about right here on his shape. Oh, it's a little, my line went a little to the right. But he has a line of reflection about right there, so that his thumbs on the left are about the same distance away from the line of reflection as the thumbs on the right are. So here's his line of reflection. And I call that line R. So if I take the original, which is this hand, oops, wrong object. Here we go. If I take this handprint and I reflect this, I'm going to end up with a hand that's over here. Now, clearly my hand is not directly beside the original. What happened to make it not right side by side, but it seems to be up a little bit? Well, I've not only reflected it, but I've also translated it 2 units up. You'll see from, say, from the heel of my hand, or I guess the bottom of my hand. In the original, I was at this height right here. So I've gone up 1, 2 units to get to the bottom of my hand here. So not only have I reflected it, but I've also translated my hand 2 units up. Okay, also, both the original and the object now get translated 5 units up each. So if I started right here, I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units to get to this point right here. And I've already translated my hand, my right hand, 2 units up. But now from this starting point, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units to get to this point right here. So I've reflected in my line R right here. This is my reflection. I translated initially 2 units up, and then I translated both the left hand and the right hand 5 units up each. So to summarize this one, it's a very short summary considering the number of objectives we appear to be covering. We can create new images by combining reflections and translations. So translations moving up and down, left and right. Reflections are creating mirror images across a line of reflection. Also, we can translate first and then reflect, or we can reflect first and then translate. The order which we do this doesn't matter in most cases. So we can choose to do one or the other first. When we want to get our final image, it shouldn't make much difference either way.